Iterative and relaxing.
It does. It feels a little less pressured. I'm a little less stiff and formal.
It
Yeah.
does. It does.
Yeah. Well, Mona, where are you from? Or where are you at?
I'm in Indiana.
Indiana. Okay. Yay, Midwest. I'm Kansas. Yeah. So is there a friend of mine is in Minneapolis and she has over 5 feet of snow right now. I don't. There's nothing. It was like 50 degrees out today. You guys
No,
are
it's around 32 right now. We had a little bit of snow yesterday, but gone.
Good. I mean, I know
Yeah.
there's people out there who really love the winter and the cold, and my kiddo was one of those. And I'm like, let me go ice skate. I'm like, I just need to, cuddle up and fireplace and stay indoors. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know that I would ever go any further north again.
Mona, are you a poet?
Yeah, I'm a poet and a novelist. I write a little bit of everything.
Good for you. I have no patience for writing the long form of anything. I came to that conclusion.
I'm working on it. I'm getting my tea ready here.
Oh, yeah. I've got mine going.
When did that expression come in, spilling the tea? When did which is about gossip?
Then, yeah.
It's very
maybe in the Boston Tea Party. I don't know.
Oh, that's funny. I love that. Even if it isn't what started it, that's how it should be from now on in my mind. I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good question. I was trying to think of the things I've been reading now, but what I've been reading has been really kind of, I want to say boring. I've been reading stuff on creativity coaching, which is exciting to me, but I don't know that there's anything in particular.
I'm reading Cloud Cuckoo Land.
Oh, I love that book. I loved it.
Oh, good. I have a list, you guys. I have a list that's like 7 pages long of books that I need.
It's by the writer who wrote All the Light We Cannot See, which was such an exquisite book. I love that. This book was maybe because I'm a senior citizen and keeping all the characters and the timelines straight in my brain was a little hard for me to track at first. I'm halfway through the book and I'm tracking all the characters, but yeah, it's fascinating.
That sounds
I was in a workshop before that even came out, and it was mentioned in the workshop. And so I got on the waiting list at the library, and I was the first one to get it when it came to the library. Fabulous book.
Oh, that's smart. Well,
don't spoil anything for me.
I'm always looking for good books and time to read them.
Yeah, there's that too.
Yeah.
Where does Poets in Pajamas come from? Where are you and what's your first name?
Yeah, well, the concept originated before I was involved, and that was some poets. I don't remember who exactly came up with the name, but it was maybe almost 9-10 years ago now that, and it's affiliated with Sundress Publications. They're the host, and that's with, Aaron and Sundress is in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Okay.
Aaron was my poetry professor, and that's how I got involved later as sort of a curator, and that's how it runs. Is we always have 2 folks who help select poets, schedule, and run the virtual side. And so I've been doing it for about 2 years as a co-curator. I'm in Houston, Texas, and my name's SJ.
That's probably how long I've been sending stuff to Sundress Publications and getting rejected.
Oh no, keep sending, please. Yeah, we had such a huge pool of submissions this year. We're reading through them right now. And it's really exciting because there is just so much talent, so many good poets. But it is 6:02, so I'll kick things off for us tonight. And I'm just so pleased that you all are here and that Carrie is our poet tonight. I'm really looking forward to this reading, but I'll just do a quick bio on Carrie Nassif. Carrie is a queer poet, photographer, parent, and psychologist. I love the secret alliteration there. With a private practice in the rural Midwest. She lives happily with her partner, a 17-year-old new driver, a spoiled bearded dragon, an aging but sassy orange cat, and an aggressively friendly 65-pound lapdog. Recent work can be found in Comstock Review, Concision, The Gravity of the Thing, Tupelo Quarterly, Pomona Valley Review, and in several anthologies, and was featured in, do you say the alliteration, or AROHO, AROHO?
They call it AROHO. Yeah.
AROHO's Wave series. So definitely check out all of Carrie's work online. And without further ado, I'll turn this over to Carrie. We're going to have a 30-minute sort of session, 15 for reading, or 15 plus ish for reading, and then we'll have time for questions at the end. So be thinking of any questions you may have. You can use the chat or you can come off mute. But while Carrie is reading, best practice is to mute so that we don't have any interruptions. But do please feel free to engage at the end of the reading. So thank you again.
Yeah, thank you guys both for attending, and whoever else is going to be watching this later on, thank you so much for opening this up and taking a gander. Here we go. I wanted to say that probably behind every one of these poems, there's a little bit of a story. One of the things I also wanted to say is that I got involved with Poets in Pajamas through the residency. And so I've been a writer's coop resident many times, which is this dry cabin in a holler. And it sounds, people think I'm crazy because I'm like, I have to haul water up and, and light my own fire in the wintertime. And I love it. And so I would just encourage anybody who has any kind of inclinations. Erin is amazing. The grounds are beautiful. And it was really inspiring. In fact, it was where I was able to organize the whole book that I'm going to be reading out of is at a retreat at the Writer's Coop. So most of what I'm going to be reading today is from a book that's out for pre-order right now with Finishing Line Press. It's called Lithopadian, and it will be out till January 13th, I think, and then it comes out of the publisher in mid-March. So if any of you are interested, go to finishinglinepress.com and you can look it up by my name. I dare you to try to remember how to spell Lithopadian correctly. It took me like a year, but it's Carrie, Carrie, Nassif, Nassif on Finishing Line Press. Anyway, okay. I was going to go ahead and read to you all kind of the first poem in my book, just to give you an introduction. I'm going to try to pull this up. If you just give me a second. So there we go. So I don't have to crinkle pages. So the first poem in that book, Lithopadian, is called In Which the Floods Recede, and We Can See the Foundations of the Lost Cities. When light quivers thinner, smells watered down, is tinny, and the warm stones I cling to no longer hold enough heat, I set down an old trowel and watch your pale eyes squinting at the sun in the one cracked photo that remains. I want to chip away at the winces your toddler self hid behind a clenched tooth smile and pin curls, to take, to steal, and hoard them all like overripe plums, to pour, to drink them all in myself, then spin the pits over and over with wire, paw at them curious as they dry in the dangling winds, breathe in the tang of your injuries, sharp like black walnut rind, and hang them to dry along the fallow field rows within us both, sallow, mildew-flecked beds of flimsy husks, as if something new could ever grow from the grimy coins you planted, would ever come from the fees you paid, so I wouldn't have to, as if there was nothing left of you, mother, to unbury. The next poem I wanted to read is the title of the book, Lithopadian, and I wanted to spend just a minute telling you a little bit about what that term means. Essentially, Lithopadian is a Greek term that's translated literally into stone baby, and it's a really, really unusual medical phenomenon that I think they found like 4 cases in all of the world in all of antiquity. And what it is when there is a fetus that is not able to be, like usually in ectopic pregnancy, what will happen is that sometimes the mother's body can't absorb it, and so the fetus will become calcified and literally turn into stone, and they'll find it in accidentally in X-ray records. It prevents infection and sepsis and death in the mother. And to me, it just feels like one of the many ways that maybe a parentified child, sacrifices themselves for the health and well-being of their caregivers. So once I came across that obscure condition, I knew that this was the name of my book, and I came up with this poem. So it's called Lithopadian. Born of stone mothers, cased within their abdomens, we, ancient daughters, coil into our own calcified spleens. This is how we are safe from each other. Too deep for a blackened needle to pry ourselves out like a sliver. No glory in becoming such lustrous, such impervious pearls, nor incubating these milk glass prophecies of how we might willfully unravel, reduce ourselves to gravel, to be expelled, like gallstones unmoored from frigid walls, adrift, a diasporum, as if we could make an Eden from whatever place we claw, to be glacial stone colonists, seeding pieces of us for the others to thaw. So the book Lithopadian talks about motherhood from both sides, both being mothered and maybe being mothered poorly, and mothering and perhaps mothering poorly as well. And so the next poem is a story about childbirth that actually came about when I had come across some research on how the moon and the earth were formed back in the birthplace of our universe, right? So so there's parts of this that are scientific, but they also seem to somehow work. So this is called And How When I Woke in the Morning I Knew. You who'd been so content to rest within my ribs would come convulsing from me on hands and knees. How we are all ejected by a centripetal force born of maternal visions. To become the first daughter of a first daughter of a first daughter of the last daughter born 2 years before her mother died. How the egg that created you formed inside of me when I was a fetus in my mother's womb. To be the first child of a first child of a first child of the last child who was the only boy who survived. It was the only winter I was warm, pregnant with the furnace, a drummer, an acrobat. None of us would be here if it wasn't for a collision vaporizing what we once were, leaving 10% of us rock and liquefying the rest to rain hurricanes towards our centers. A child emerges from the vapor first, and everything else collapses to become its mother. So earlier, SJ had mentioned that in reading my bio that I'd done some work at AROHO, and this was a poem that actually was featured by them, and I did a PowerPoint presentation with photography in it, and it's one of my favorite poems. Just a little background information. So I am the oldest, and I have a sister, and I have 3 stepsisters, and I have a mother and a stepmother, and it feels like it was always us girls, but it never really felt like a kinship until I came to the AROHO conference. And they are now an online presence, but AROHO stands for A Room of Her Own. And it's mostly an all women organization or female identifying organization. So this poem was written at my first AROHO conference in 2013, I think. And I had gotten residency to go there. And it was the first time I'd ever been accepted into a conference, and it was my first time seeing myself as a professional, actual, real writer. So this poem is called We Should Have. We house collections of prickled connections. This, the sisterhood of the barbed wire museum. Once wound tight over driftwood, wires long since uncoiled, yellow Polaroids ago. These twisted, pointed links, thumb and elbow grease crafted, from fence mending calluses smoothed away with time, water over rocks, under bridges. We should have lassoed ourselves together, lashed down to weather the storms, built pulleys and lifted our souls, cantilevered the clouds. We can only display these remnants and inventory our fragments of ingeniously knotted wires blackened with age that we used to raise to hold back the baked earth, and wax a kind of nostalgic comfort, buffing white-wheeled scars from when we got too close, and rubbing fractious aches from standing at such a distance. It's funny, about 20 miles away from where I live in a tiny little town, there actually is a barbed wire museum, and I have been in it. It's a strange little place. So this next poem was inspired by a transliteration of another language. I think it was written in Portuguese. There was a poem that was written in Portuguese, and this poem was like taking that Portuguese language poem and translating it into English, just based on, anyway, it's a fun prompt if you ever get a chance to read something in another language and just fake like you know what you're reading. And that's what this kind of came from. This is called We Had Been Born Free-Footed, Made from Frothy Cascades. Had ourselves borne chains we had never before named, mother or daughter, simultaneous particles and waves. Suspended lights burnishing in the texture, the harmonics of one dilating chord that approaches, pulses and ricochets, splays through and lashes staccato shivers into shade. You may walk as brisk as you like while we haunt the earth. Everyone must wait on the tides. Clenched teeth foaming at our ankles, burgundy points of sea urchin spine. They tell me perspective is a vanishing line. So this next poem is about my oldest child's birthday. My oldest child turned 29 this December. So it's feels strange to use the word child. This poem is called Winter Solstice. On the shortest day before the longest night, we wake early on her 21st birthday and drive to the hill west of town. Only that was a lie. We didn't know at the time when we woke up early on the 21st anniversary of what had been my daughter's birth, of what has now become the birth date of my gender fluid, my firstborn, my spawn. But we would still peer over a flat disk of prairie-brushed lavender by a meek sunrise and drink reddening fields in careful sips. Dormant weeds in steaming acres, amber and slippery with melting frost, would sneak pictures of each other from a distance, muffled with scarves behind tiny screens, specks against the white haze of sky, a blank page. Spend the sunset at the park by Big Creek, walking to stay warm, where among the slumbering cottonwoods, I would find more vaginal openings than there really ought to be. Open maws in these clusters of soft-wooded matriarchs, and all among those that they had mothered. Dark branches veining across the sinking canopy, spilling their night back into the sky. The last poem I'll read from this collection is inspired by having a heart scan. I don't know if you've ever had a heart scan done in preparation for like another surgery. I had a knee replacement about 5 or 6 years ago. And so I had a heart scan done, and there's something about the visuals of a heart scan where you're watching your own heart beating and the muscles contracting. And that's what this poem came from. It's called This Fibrous Bird Flight. This frantic, this hissing steam, both spire and gorge, as though in really could equal out. How we divide each side by these two lung sacs, so many sloshing chambers, all twitching flasks. A variegated fetus, and it's threadbare, it's throbbing, tremolos. Let every lub be a mitral wingspan, every dub a heaving, a feathering flap. These wavering reds, murmurating cells swarming our pouches, the syncopated hiccups of valving claps, so that a speckled thing expands, contracts. What else is? But the daggering of stretch marks, your blustering intrusions, the steady static of acceptance, of my yes, 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 yes. Fisted hearts straining, clenching wombs spilling life, cramping tissues in a fibrous bird flight. This enervated meat, we, these nubbly, these warblings, all eat and excrete. And then the last poem I'll read today is from a new collection that is desperately looking for publication. So if you know anybody who needs to publish a book called Necessary and Sufficient Conditions, the Vulture God or the Vulture Girl, please direct them my way. This is the first poem of that manuscript. It's called Yesterday the Gods Told Me to Fall Into My Own Eyes. Oh, and this is actually, I think, published in Pomona Valley Review. Yesterday, the gods told me to fall into my own eyes, to find my own frame, to live each breath into the broken body of the rabbit we hit on the dirt road, to inhabit her truths and translate the torn and sinew and quick and gasping breaths, to recall being prey, to stop the car, to cup her pain in my hands, the spare heft of her infant sighs, fur the color and soft of sifted dust, to set her to nestle under the grasses, to assign her a place safe from the gullies of tire treads, leave her looking up into the weeds, the green bounding arches into the white spaces carved out around the trees, to set her deep into shade, the black of her eyes in shock, to witness her fleet and dance, drain inert, as if I were holding my vanishing twin, who I can only assume I had interrupted, had just the same, had run into, had collided, had absorbed, had invited within, wound. Would her cells retain the stamp of those urges, or the caution not to spring across the road in fear of barreling noises? A quiet wisdom within of one who had had her fatal wounds tended to, who held my hand as I became alone. And that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Beautiful work. I know that there's some comments in the chat, and I agree. The comment, beautifully lyrical. This is gorgeous. So thank you so much. I did send a few questions in advance to Carrie about sort of process, about revisions, about things that are inspiring you lately. If you want to jump into any of those, feel free, but also I would love to hear if you guys listening, Myrna, Mona, if either of you have questions, please feel free to ask as well.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Perfect.
One question I have, I took a lot of notes simply because I get inspired to write myself when I hear poets read, but you have a lot of long titles, and I tend to have very short titles.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a reason you have so many long titles, and does that just come naturally, or do you choose to have long titles?
So I think it kind of depends. That's a really good question. I think that really kind of depends on the poem. What happened with this collection specifically is a lot of what I wrote was written from kind of, I want to say, a guarded place where I kind of obfuscated who was speaking and who they were talking about. It was almost kind of cryptic. And so as I was revising and kind of going back through from others kind of saying like, we kind of like this, but we don't get what you're saying. Like, this is way too hard to understand. Like, it's got some really great language, but what in the heck are you talking about? Right. So as I was trying to kind of uncover more of the meaning, some of that was putting a context to it, even if it was somewhat arbitrary and weird. Like the first one, I'm trying to think of what that one was called again, in which the floods recede and we can see the foundations of the lost cities. That gave it a little bit of a context. So we've got kind of a mooring to go from when I start going off the rails and start talking about spinning plum pits and things like that.
Right.
So that's kind of the intention behind it. And more recently, my writing has had really long lines anyhow. And so this kind of, I don't know if the long titles that I needed to create for this work ended up translating into longer lines of the poetry I'm writing now. But then like the fibrous bird flight, 3 words. And those lines are quite short. So it kind of, yeah, it's a great question, but.
That makes a lot of sense. And the very last one you read, the rabbit, was very sad, but it also reminded me, I believe also, that I was a twin that my mother never knew about. So you inspired me to write about that. So.
Oh, please do. So it was actually in doing the research for that book that I came across the term for lithopadian. So I love going on to use we just talked about a rabbit, to go on rabbit trails on the internet. I love looking for weird scientific facts that make no real sense, that have this rich power that somehow like, oh, I have to write about this. But what happened was at one point, my mom and my sister and I are close, and we are both estranged from our mom. And at one point, when my sister asked for some of the family photo albums that it turns out were all mildewy and unusable, my mom dropped them off and then called back over her shoulder to my sister, and tell your sister that she was born a twin. And that was it. And so I'm like, what? Like, how do I know or not know about this? And so the Vulture Girl, the whole collection starts from the presupposition, perhaps I was a twin, and what would that have been like, and what else is going on internally, and who else is in there, So yeah, I would encourage you to kind of see where it takes you.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Oh, my pleasure.
I just have to jump in and say, because Carrie and I met at Tupelo conference number of years ago now.
Let's not say how long.
No, just a few years ago. And what for me, just to hear your evolution as a poet too is so exciting and thrilling. And so brava, sister, just brava. You are just really rocking it. So and I wanted to, that the last poem that you wrote about the rabbit reminded me of the very first poem I wrote after hitting a cat with a car and the cat dying in my hand. So it was, and I'd never written a poem before. So you brought me back to that personal experience, which is
I'm
very,
so sorry.
No. It's very, no, I would never have even written any poetry had it not been for that moment in a way. So, so anyway, so thank you for that. And I'm wondering, because of the title of the new manuscript, would you consider To Sylvia's Press? I would recommend them.
Yes, I sent it out last year to them, and I plan on sending them again.
Okay, because they're wonderful.
Thank you.
And then so many of your poems from the current volume, which I will not try. I'm not going to try and say the title, but are mother oriented. There's so many that relate to maternity. This is a small journal, but had you submitted to Mom Egg Review ever?
Yeah, and so I'm wondering if some of my work isn't a little bit darker than some of what they generally take.
Yeah,
but,
maybe.
They're a great journal. Yeah,
a little duende never hurt anybody.
I agree. I mean, yeah. It was weird as I was writing or gathering these poems up. I was realizing that there was a point at which I could be more vague, and then you wouldn't know if it was the mother or the daughter that was speaking, or if it was, it was interesting how so much as a mother you go through that as a daughter you had gone through. just
Mhm.
from a different angle. And so that was an interesting. I don't think I pulled as much of it out as I would have liked to, of that kind of ambivalence, but
Mm.
yeah, it's been interesting.
Well, I would be interested in hearing you respond to some of the questions that were posed to you pre-Zoom.
Yeah. So let me kind of see if I can find.
I
Oh.
had just asked about, I'm sorry, I
No,
had
go.
just asked a journal online about, because I'm almost ready to submit a chat book.
Mhm.
And they don't charge much.
Mhm.
And that's important for me.
Sure.
And they sell them on their website. And they are called Unsolicited Press.
Oh, that's great. I love that.
So you
Yeah.
might check them out.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. So I think one of the questions was, what am I reading lately? And like I think a couple of you were giving me some ideas of people to read. And I don't know how many sticky notes of books that I have that are on my list. I just ordered from Amazon. I shouldn't order from Amazon. They're the devil, but I do. And I live in a small town. I'm like 4 hours away from Oklahoma City, Kansas City, Denver.
You get absolution.
Right. The nearest Target is an hour and a half drive away. But yeah, I'd ordered like 5 books. I'm like, okay, you got to put all the rest on your wait for later. So there's so many books that I want to read. And what I've been spending a lot of my time reading has been creativity coaching sort of things, because I'm transitioning my private practice to include or add creativity coaching. So it's fun and exciting, but not like not like I can give you a recommendation of something great to read. But you guys had some great ideas. Oh, Mona just put, your favorite new book is How High We Go in the Dark by Sequoia Namatsu. That sounds very interesting. Yeah.
Nagamatsu.
Okay. Thank you.
He's Japanese American.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's great. I have so many eclectic interests that it's hard to kind of just nail it out anywhere.
I didn't spell it. I
Hang
didn't
on,
spell it right.
I think I can find it by the title in Amazon. Oh, sorry. Namatsu. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Carrie, can I interject with a question too?
Please.
And I know there were some that were posed to you. You may be the 4th poet I know who is also a therapist, and I'm wondering about what you would speculate is the connectivity there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. So like you and I met Chris at the
Yeah.
Tupelo.
Oh yeah. Okay. 5.
Right. I'm not sure. I think there's something about most good therapists are observant and emotionally like competent and are using that on a daily level to kind of connect with and meet their clients that they're working with and interpret what's going on for them. And I'm thinking those are really similar skills to when you kind of dive into a poem and explore the human condition. I'm assuming those translate, or those are similar. What I found is that for me, when I'm working with clients, it's all about, it's outward facing. I'm attending to them and their needs. And then when I come home, I need something that's inward facing, and that's what the poetry is about, where I'm doing the exploration and I'm having the emotional experience, the primary emotional experience. I don't know if that's true of everybody, but it's interesting because the couple of creativity clients that I have had are also therapists. So I don't know if there's like a magnet. I don't know what's going on exactly, but it is interesting. Yeah. Which makes me think that most poets might be really good therapists. Might be reflexive. Mona, you're holding up a book. What do you have? How high? Okay, that's the book, the How High We Go, the Dark. Okay, thank you.
I have it autographed.
Oh, lucky. That's amazing.
In English and Japanese.
That is wonderful. Yeah. I think the other question was, how do I approach revisions and what does that process look like? And I think that, I don't know how common it is, but I think that for me, I'll write something and in the moment, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so good, and then I'll set it aside for a while and I'll come back and I'm like, well, parts of it are okay. But I feel like the best way for me to kind of revise something is to give it a little bit of time. Like I might go for a week or two fussing with it, and reading out loud and fussing and reading out loud and fussing. And then it has to sit in some file in my computer or in my little file box of actual paper because I'm old school. And then when I bring it back, and I like to do my drafts in pencil by hand, because I feel like it just kind of goes a lot freer, and I can sketch and erase and reorient and just not have to worry about having it right. And there's something about being in a computer where you're using both of your hands, where it's a lot more, it's a lot easier, I think, to edit, where you're kind of having a more balanced look at it. While when it's in my own handwriting and it's with my dominant hand, it's, it's just all imaginary. It's everything I want it to be. It's all potential, which I don't know if that's true of everybody's experience, but that's what it feels like for me.
I love that. I never thought about the difference between one hand and two hands, but that has like some sort of intuitive sense to me.
Yeah,
it's really
where
interesting.
my other brain can kind of jump on board and go, oh, that doesn't work together, in the way that, yeah. And there's something about having it not in my handwriting when I go to edit it, where I can maybe be a little bit more objective about it too. But it takes, I want to say, like months, sometimes years, before I can kind of get back to it and feel like I have a good sense of it. And I do, like, I'll go for like a month where all I'm doing is editing, and then I'll be, then there won't be anything. I'll just be reading, and then there'll be another month where I'm writing, or I've got little fragments that I'm starting to quilt together. But I try to make sure that I have every Saturday set aside for doing something with writing, and I never quite know what it's going to be. Whether it's going to be submitting, it kind of depends on what feels like right. And I like to think that it's because this creativity process includes like this incubation period where we do need to give it time and space, and where we're not so close to it, or where we have new experiences like, oh my gosh, this should go with that. Now I can see it, where when I first wrote, I didn't have that connection. I didn't have those weird, strange tunnels in the interwebs of strange things that work as metaphors. But yeah. I think the other question was, what besides poetry inspires me to write? And I'm mindful of the time. I know we're getting kind of close, but I think mostly those weird internet searches, or like all of a sudden, like yesterday, I was like, okay, what does sanctuary mean? And what language did it come from? And why does it mean two things? And so I have a page of just notes that I wrote about sanctuary. I have some about, I don't have one about hedgehogs, but I think I have every other animal. And I don't know. I just something always feels interesting. And I think probably most inspired by scientific stuff. And somehow that parallels emotional stuff. That's not specific, but
It's great.
There's a question in the chat from Mona about process. Do you have a poetry partner or critique person?
That is a great question. So I've never, this is a tangent, big shock. I've never had, I think in undergrad, I had an English lit class in order to get my degree, but I've never had a creative writing class. I've whatever I've learned to do has been a result of different conferences I've gone to, and groups that I've kind of signed up for. I don't know that I have a specific poetry partner, but I do have 2 or 3 people that I'm friends with online, because again, there are not a lot of people where I live, but I'm friends with online, and we will send like 3 or 4 poems back and forth. I've got a couple of folks that I've done that with for a long while, and it's hard because when one of us is writing, the other one maybe isn't, and so it doesn't, we just have to, like the old friends who they're going to be there even if you don't talk to them. Like, we're there for each other when we need each other, but we might fall off the planet in between sometimes. But a couple of the folks, they just have such different styles. Like, one of my friends is actually from Australia, and she writes nonfiction as well as poetry, and so her point of view is really different from mine. And another gal writes more spiritual. Actually, Myrna, you remember Alicia? And kind of almost, I'm going to say warped, but that's not right, distorted fairy tale, and warped is too, her stuff is so beautiful and pretty. Warped is the wrong word, but and we have really different ways of writing, and so it's interesting to see, and we have the trust in each other built up, so that like I know that when she rips my poetry to shreds, it's not out of malice, it's she's trying to show me what she would do with it. And I can just kind of try it on and say, this piece I like, this piece is not for me. And we can kind of go that way. But I think even though I want to be in community with other folks who write weirdly like I do, I feel like it's not the other two don't write weirdly, they do, and it's beautiful. But it's better to have somebody who's very different from you, I think, so you really can kind of get more out of it. And there is kind of an accountability. Oh my gosh, it's been 3 months since I talked to you, I better start writing something. But yeah.
Well, we've had our 30 minutes. I wish we could go on because I've taken so many notes and I've gotten some great food for thought, and I hope that you all feel the same, but this has been really great. And I'll just add that, we have another Poets in Pajamas reading on January 15th. Our next one is then with Annie Woodford. So I hope you can join us then too. And for folks who are even listening in the future, if you need accessible copies of the poems that are being read, you can always email us at poetsinpajamas@gmail.com. And we also have updates on our blog, WordPress.com, poetsinpajamas.wordpress.com. So definitely follow us on Facebook and come to the next reading. And, it'd be great to see all of you all again and hear Carrie's poetry in the future. We'll be definitely watching for that book coming out in, really soon, in a month, right? Is that what you said at the beginning?
Yeah. Well, March is when it comes out in hardcover.
Okay. Hard copies in March.
Hard copies in March. Yeah. Pre-order for now. Yeah.
Ooh, is there a link that we can share for the pre-order?
Yeah, it is. It is Finishing Line Press, all one word.com. And from there you can look it up by my last name, or you can go /product/Lithopadian -by-Carrie -Nassif /. So, and Lithopadian is LITHOPAEDION. Lithopadian.
Lithopadian.
Yeah.
All together.
It's tricky. Yeah.
Oh, brava. Well
Thank
done.
you so much.
Thank you so much. And thanks everyone. Have a great night. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.